and welcome back to the Music Lens podcast with me, Alex Allegra.
And Katie Fee.
I just wanted a fun intro.
Do you hear the fear in my voice? I was like, what is
Thanks,
happening?
Katie. The fear.
Sorry. I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? This sounds, I don't know, old-timey something or other.
It gave me Drag Race.
Oh, okay.
So
that's
that
a different.
was where I was going, but
That's a different vibe than. It's like we've stepped into a time thing or something.
No, I don't know. I was going a little announcer-esque, but
yeah, it's fine.
I don't know. Anyways, we took a break. We petted the dog a little bit.
Yeah,
Now we're back to record some more information for you guys. So this will be like a 3-parter because I'm taking a subtopic, and then we're gonna jump back to the single release stuff.
Yeah,
another
I think
week.
We kind of want to, with our educational episodes, have these overarching guides of how to do different things, and then kind of also have episodes within it of subtopics where we're getting more of the details for you. So this is kind of what that is.
Kept
is
everything
a subtopic.
very broad. We'd run out of episodes.
Right. Yeah. But did we want to do a little new music discussion in this episode before that? So we are gonna probably end up having still some sort of new music episode at the end of the year for the ones that we forgot to talk about within the second half, because I know we missed a couple in August and stuff, but otherwise we're gonna try and intro to episode topics, so we don't have a repeat of July where we have 4 episodes.
Never again. We thought that was gonna be so fun, and it was
but also it just felt like it got to be
a bit much.
So Kelsea Ballerini put out her album Patterns on October 25th, and I feel like I have a lot of notes about it, and this is what makes me want to keep growing this podcast to the point where we can do bonus episodes where we just literally go song by song for albums, because I'm like, how do I not make this a whole episode?
Yeah.
There's a lot of details
about this one as well. So
how did you feel going into it as far as like the promotional songs and stuff that she put out before? Because I was kind of apprehensive of if I would like this album, because I didn't love the promotional songs. I think most of them have grown on me since it's come out, but I was worried I wouldn't like the album, but I do love the album now that it's out.
The only one I flat out was in love with was Sorry Mom. I sing Sorry Mom all the time. I thought it was the emotional lyrics that I expect out of Kelsea and what she always talks about wanting her music to do. Sorry Mom did that, and it sounded different than her other stuff, and I really thought we were going into it with how do I do this in mind, because that's what she said it was. And this album definitely was a lot more country than her other stuff. Like last 2 albums, I would say.
This one's more country?
Yeah. You thought
Subject to Change, I think, is her most country album still.
Really?
Yeah.
I think First Time is like
I don't know.
Anyways, I thought it was more country-esque sounding and like folksy and like.
I think we have more pop stuff in this album.
I disagree. I think Subject to Change was more country pop, and I loved Subject to Change with my whole heart.
Yes, I love it.
I did not love this album, and I really, really wanted to. It's definitely growing on me, but
No, I love it. I think she could have picked better promotional singles to release ahead of time, because there are better songs than the ones that she did put out.
I just don't think there's any like bop songs on it like she said there was gonna be.
Okay.
I just didn't like the album as much. I really wanted to love it, but I think Patterns that song itself does not fit the rest of the album. I think it's like such a different sound.
Intro, but it's not my favorite, but it's still good. The only song I skip is Two Things, which was one of the promotional singles. So I think that's why I have those thoughts about the promotional ones. I think Cowboys Cry too, I just didn't really listen to prior to the album. So that one's grown on me because lyrically I think I didn't listen to it and I'm like, oh, there's actually some really good lyrics. And I love that the fiddle part, there's one little part of the fiddle part that I think kind of makes it sound like Cowboy Take Me Away, like as if it references that. So I like that little bit. But
I just don't think it matches the rest of the album. Like, I don't like it.
Okay. Well, First Rodeo's in there too, though, so she does have those themes in multiple songs of cowboys and stuff. So
I just think that this was a very reflective on her album, and that song is the only one that's like a completely different subject matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it, but it's not like one of my top ones. But I will say it grew on me once I actually like listened to the lyrics and stuff, and listened to the. I love fiddle. What else did I have of notes? This is like a little thing that I think is funny of she released it in October and there's like several references to like Halloween-esque stuff. Not actually, but I was like, I feel like maybe that's a justification for October. I don't know. Of like, I got some bones of old skeletons. No use digging up bones from the grave. And then I'd still die for you than haunt you when I'm dead. It's like, there's lots of Halloween tie-ins that way. I thought it was fun. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great lyrics, though, throughout the album. And I think she kind of did the same thing she did with Rolling Up the Welcome Mat, of more, I would say, unconventional lyric writing. Of a lot of times you want to be concise and have like not too long lyric lines and stuff, and this feels more almost like musical-esque in the way of like just like talking it but singing it, if that makes sense.
I get what you mean. I didn't really get that as much. I felt like they were still very much her style of writing.
Sonically, like production wise, is definitely still like commercial music. I just think lyrically it's like a lot of more talking type things. Still singing, but like
I get what you mean, but I just disagree. I just don't think that they're any different than the rest of her stuff personally, but
okay. I don't know. I think that it's more talking and not trying to be concise with lyrics, but I also like the callback to the Rolling Up the Welcome Mat and Baggage of, if you want that welcome mat, then roll it out with me. Yeah. Just like, I like that tie-in and showing the growth of where she is personally, of like she went through a divorce and now she's finding love after her divorce and everything. I also think would be good as a duet. I don't know which female artist I would say should be on it, but just like one of her close friend female artists, it would be cool to have that as a duet, since that's a friendship song. And she talks about that being like the sister song, or like grown-up sister song to If You Go Down, I'm Going Down Too. So well, I feel like that would have been
cool.
The
chorus is like all the writers and stuff on the...
Okay. So maybe have Karen take the second verse then. Yeah. Karen Fairchild.
Because she worked on it a lot, yeah.
I guess I didn't specifically look. I would assume she's probably on that one too. But I think she collaborated with her a lot on this album, because I think it was mainly a core group for the majority of the album. I think she did like a retreat for writing it.
It seems like the retreat was the album writing.
Yeah. I'm just surprised that you don't love it as much.
I just don't like. Again, the album.
Is this the Sabrina Carpenter situation?
No, it's starting to grow on me. My problem with it is that it feels very much like it stays on one note the whole time, and there's not a lot of like really happy to really sad to really, like, it just feels very one note. Like, and it's not bad. Okay. It just feels very one note. And I feel like it doesn't align with How Do I Do This. I thought How Do I Do This sounds more subject to change. And so I felt like it fit. So I was interested to see how it was gonna go. But I don't know. This just wasn't my favorite work she's done.
Okay. So can you pick top songs off the album with that in mind?
Sorry,
or no?
Mom, I still love. I will always love Sorry, Mom. I'd have to look at the rest of the album.
Let me find it. I put a top 3 and then I put an honorable mention. I don't know what order the top 3 would go in. There's 15 songs if you include the outro. The outro's like just under a minute long. We Broke Up
was really good. I loved that song. Also, I think my thing too is like everyone's like, you can't look up Kelsea Ballerini or Chase Stokes without it saying that they broke up or something. But there's definitely some allude to them like getting into a huge fight and at least almost breaking up early in their relationship.
Well, wait, I think.
Yeah, so I was like, that. And she's like, I jumped on the flight to South Carolina like as fast as I could on two things.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's definitely something that happened that she doesn't want to talk about, which is fine. I don't think we need to be like, oh my god, they broke up. But like, I definitely texted Katie and was like, the promotional singles are just telling me that they almost broke up. Like,
yeah. Well, that's where I get at the like, just like talking and telling a story versus like being concise with lyrics. I think was that song because it's. But I
feel like she always has kind of done that.
Well, I think she did it with Rolling Up the Welcome Mat a lot too.
Yes.
But like, if I'm being honest, let them sit outside 701, except for that one I pressed between those 2 pages of Hemingway poems we love. Like, that's a whole, like, sentence instead of, like, cutting it down to, like, the main bullet points.
I think we're getting that a little more, too, because Kelsea actually has a fan base now, and I think the evolution of artists when they get to actually be more expressive with what's going on in their life, because that's what... like the audience are genuinely very invested, and then that's when you get to see more of that.
She's had a fan base, but I think it's getting more into like a Swiftie-esque type of thing now.
Yeah, because like she can say "fuck the old house with the dead end," and we all know what that means. Like I don't think if you said something like that in your like first or second album, unless you have like a very invested
people know the lore.
Base, people like are like. They don't really care.
Yeah.
But it was like with Subject to Change too when she put the little line about Halsey.
Yeah.
I had the track 4. Like we all were like, ooh, like you can get that little spicy stuff in there now and be more detailed like that because people care and they want a little drama and they're paying attention to what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't just have to have these broad songs that like yes are personal and can be specific to you, but like no one's looking past the song, so you still have to make it broad and approachable for every angle.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Yeah. My top 3 in no order are We Broke Up, Baggage, and Wait. And then I put honorable mention of Deep.
I'm trying to think of Deep right now.
Deep.
Like, I know all the songs, obviously.
I think that's the one that Christian shared and was like, Kelsea, do an R&B album.
Oh, yeah. I didn't get that, but...
I guess it kind of has those vibes.
When I heard people talk about her in the studio, they loved the way her voice sat on a mic, so...
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I like that one. But I think We Broke Up, Wait, and Baggage are all bops, so...
I really just like those don't think too. Of them as bops as much. I think if you want a Kelsea Ballerini bop, I don't wanna be a da-da, but my man's a heart attacker, hotter than a Saturday night.
That one's actually Shay McAnally writing about his husband.
The best bop. So like if Kelsea says bop, that's what I think of. Okay. And we haven't had a bop like that since the Kelsea album. Just say. Also, Subject to Change was basically all bops. So, like, I'm sorry. Also, you have to beat Subject to Change in my mind. Subject to Change is her Golden Child album for me. So it's
that one's I have such very Shania and very Hannah Montana.
It is, right? So, like, maybe it's just I have a lot of high expectations. And Rolling Up the Welcome Mat was such a unique album because it was so deep. And, like, she's not going to have another album like that
with these two. It's just not as they're still personal, but like I think divorce is like really, really vulnerable.
I was going to say you're not going to have another situation like that, so it's like you're not going to be in like those were 2 very extreme moments in her life. I mean, Subject to Change was the happy side, but like of like finding who the fuck she was, and then like Rolling Up the Welcome Mat was the opposing sad, like, fuck, I'm divorced and my whole life just crumbled around me. What the fuck am I gonna do in life? So, like, you have both of those, like, pulling at each other, which is what made it so great. So anything after that, I mean, I think for her fans, me included, but I think for her, like, core fans, this album is going to really do a lot for her career. I just think it was a little bit of a letdown for me. I mean, I'm sure I'll grow to love it as much. We're going to see her. We already bought the tickets, so, like,
I'm excited.
Trust me, I still love her.
For the tour. I'm curious what it'll look like, too, of, for Madison Square Garden, she played the whole thing, and then first and then like went to older music after, but I feel like it might be changed up for the actual tour. I don't know,
probably just move the older music like in the middle or something like that. But I will say Kelsey she's always done that. When we saw her at the Ryman, she played her second album top to bottom.
Did she?
Yeah. She's always like, her speech in that one too was, I believe that an album is in the order that it's in, and like all the music is there to tell the story of like where she's at. So she just does that. So like she's always kind of like done that, and I don't think she gets a lot of credit for that artistry of it. So I appreciate that. Like, I think it's a very unique thing that she does. So
yeah. Trying to think. Did you get the TikTok that I sent you that How Much Do You Love Me is a song version of Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm?
Yeah, I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah, that's funny. Honestly, it makes sense to me. Because it's not like, I think it's in the bridge where she's saying like, I know you love me, but how much kind of thing. And that I think ties well with the whole worm thing.
That one tied a lot for me and kind of like called me out on like, oh shit, like I just definitely do that. Like,
yeah.
Trust me, I do think this album is good. It didn't beat Subject to Change and Rolling Up the Welcome Mat for me. I think that's where it fell short. And like I said, it kind of all felt like one note as an album, but
she also has a lot of like astrology things throughout multiple songs, so I guess there's a pattern of that. She's
definitely like and that's, I think,
and she references patterns. I think in Wait it says something about patterns of my past, so she does have a little bit of that tie-in.
I wish the theme was a little bit more consistent, but I think maybe it's more listening to hear what those patterns were and will be interesting, because I didn't think of it like that, so maybe I'm just like thinking of it a little bit differently. I thought each thing was going to be like a different thing she noted in her life, and that's why, again, I think that Cowboys Cry Too just doesn't make sense on the album. I would have put To the Men Who Love Women After Heartbreak on the album.
Well, that is a bonus track if you wanted to pay money for a download. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold off for streaming. I'm gonna hold off for streaming. So that song will have to be. She played it that was like her encore song at Madison Square Garden, I guess. And I was seeing videos of Chase like during the song. So.
Yeah.
I also saw one for Sorry Mom of watching her mom and how she sung I Met a Guy That We Both Like, and she's nodding like, yes we did, honey. I'm like,
one of like, when there was an interview of Kelsey talking about how she had Chase play it for her for the first time.
Yeah, and they went to Bar Taco. Yeah. Like, Chase and her mom got lunch. Like, she was not at lunch. It was just those two got lunch together at Bar Taco. And she said she sent
it and they played it in the car. And then she said, you have nothing to apologize for, which broke my heart, because when I sent it to my mom, I was like, you have to listen to Kelsey's new song, because I'm very close with my mom, like her too. And she said, this song is so sweet, but you have nothing like, my mom said that same thing to me, which I when I heard that her mom said the same thing, like, I just was like a full circle, like, oh my god, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I love her mom. Her mom's really nice. Because I worked the CMT Storytellers that she did, and her mom was there, so.
Her mom kind of looks like Taylor's mom, and I think every time I expect to see Taylor's mom, and it's like, oh no, that's not Taylor's mom, it's Kelsey's mom. But they have like the big poofy blonde hair, like,
not poofy, but
very like
shoulder length
teased,
blonde,
like volumized. Okay. Like, they definitely like try to get the volume at the top of their head. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Trying to think. Yeah, I just think, I don't know, I love it. There's a lot of cool production things within it too, of like cool little hooky post choruses and outro type things that get thrown in to add layers and stuff in a lot of the songs too. So yeah, I don't know. I hope it grows on you more.
I know.
Yeah. It's been 20 minutes. This is why I say we need to be able to get to a point of bonus content, and then we can go even more detailed talking about albums.
I mean, that's all I have on the album, and I think it was very detailed. But...
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could go track by track with this one, with Lainey's. I guess, sneak peek for December, because we forgot about Ella Langley's album, so we'll have to talk about Ella whenever we do a little, here's what we forgot in the second half of 2024. So here's New Music Friday new music for those ones. So yeah, well, she put out her deluxe version of the debut album this past Friday, so that added like 4 more tracks to it, but we'll wait till December to talk about it overall, I think. Yeah. So that was a long intro, but I had a lot of thoughts for Kelsey's album, and I love it.
That's okay. No, I definitely wanted to talk about it too, so, but.
Yes. So Alex has our little, like, subtopic of our single release guide stuff, talking about distribution companies.
And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I have my computer over here, but it also is like how we record everything. It is so it's like off screen. So if I'm like looking, like it's because I'm looking at my notes and like can't have them here. So so I'm gonna talk about distribution companies, your DSPs, what you do when you get the song, and then you got to
how
put
do you
it
get
on
it out
things.
To the world.
Now there is a difference. So basically, the simple definition of what a DSP distributor is getting music into stores. So in the olden days, you used to go to a record shop or a CD shop or any kind of shop that sells music. You would strike a deal with them. You would get paid up front, and they would buy 100 copies of your CD to sell in stores. Or if you were big time, again, and you had distribution for like Walmarts and Targets and all, again, you would strike up a deal like any other product, and you would get it put in those stores, and you would make X copies, and you got paid up front. And so that's why even when you're doing these things now in the streaming world, why it's so much more lucrative to get people to download your song on iTunes is because you get paid straight out for that song, and you get a lot more money than you would if you waited for the streaming royalties to add up.
If you want to like help independent artists, buy the digital download, but then instead of listening to that one, then stream it. So you have the copy, quote unquote copy or whatever, but then you're streaming it, which also gives royalties once it gets enough streams to do so, because Spotify.
Right. Or like why we still sell CDs and vinyls at concerts is because, again, you're getting those copies directly paid for.
Yes.
So now, in 2001, the record industry was almost exclusively physical copies, and then about 17 years later, it made up about less than a fourth of all global recording revenues. So it's definitely gone down a lot. I mean, even now, I think vinyl's definitely started to get a kick back up again, and even cassettes started to, but those are kind of not really making the same impact as vinyl records are still again.
Right.
I don't know if we'll go back to CDs, but because the problem with the CDs is that you at least used to have a CD player in your car, but now they've gotten rid of all of that stuff. So the real point of having the record is that like you get to hear a lot, and with CDs you hear a lot more frequencies and sounds that you might not hear on a digital version because it's all compressed, which is what people don't know unless you're in the recording industry or have like insane hearing to hear all of that stuff, is that you hear like these different tones and like I think of, if you know Marjorie from Taylor Swift's, how like her grandmother sings opera, it's like very faint in the digital version. On the record version you can hear it like crystal clear. It's like super sweet. But or just like in general, artists definitely what a good producer does is has all those like extra tones and frequencies, and then like it just gets compressed and then you lose like a chunk of that, but like they're still there. You just don't hear them. So like when you have a record, you can hear that full range of frequencies, but people like records a lot more too because it's just like that old schooly like whole experience thing, and it's just like there's a different tonal quality to the records, especially like old ones. You get like all the scratchy like people just like that tone for some reason too. I love it. And honestly, I think even my records are a lot more clear than even my CD players are, and maybe I just have a really good record player, which I do because my boyfriend bought it for Christmas and put a lot of time into picking one out, so love that for him. For me too. Love that about him for me, okay? So now, basically, digital music distributions work in 3 parts. They have distributing releases to DSPs, 2 royalty accolades, and 3 distribution strategy and trade marketing. Which,
DSP is digital streaming platform?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember if you said that yet.
So I was like, maybe we say that just to say it.
Interchangeably,
and I was like, they're not the same thing. So there you go. That's what I'm trying to say. So there is a difference between why you would use the distribution companies is to put it on the DSPs. So your Spotify's, your Apple Music, your Tidal, your YouTube, your TikTok, your Instagram, Amazon Music, all of that stuff is the DSP side of it. But a direct artist platform are your SoundClouds and your Sound Exchange, where you can upload your files directly onto it and it's released. That's why things like SoundCloud rappers exist, is because they have total control over how and when and all that stuff gets uploaded, because it's a direct thing. And Spotify for a while was trying that out, but after a year of testing phases, they decided that that's not going to be a thing for their platform anymore. So you can no longer just directly upload your singles onto Spotify. You have to go through a distribution company. There are 4 different types of distribution companies. Before I get there, why do you want to use a distribution company too? Is it's a well-oiled process that gets it to all your listeners across all platforms and on the day that you want to release it. So it's basically also, not only is it like, oh, that's the only way you can, it does also make the process a lot easier, because then you're not chasing down every single thing, and Apple Music and Spotify don't have to pay every single artist individually. They send a chunk of money out to DistroKid, and DistroKid distributes it to all of their artists that they have.
Yeah.
And then they break it up into what you are owed. And it goes from there. But it also just makes things easier. Then you're not missing out on things, because those platforms are also going to collect if it's being played from X, Y, and Z place. Then you also don't have to sit there and make sure you're collecting all of your money, and like it's like one big catch-all that you're going to get all your stuff. It's going to split it up for you. You're going to get your royalties that you're owed. It also makes sure that all your metadata and everything is up to date, because when you upload a song onto one of these distribution companies, you're going to put the name of the artist, the name of the song, your cover art, who produced it, lyrics if you want it, like that's all going to be comprised onto there. And then it's just going to make sure everything is smooth sailing. It's going to eliminate as much as we can with the headache process of it. So, there are 5 different types of music distribution companies.
Okay.
So you have your majors. Your majors, apart from the in-house distribution departments of Universal, Sony, and Warner, are Alternative Distribution Alliance, Carolina International, Ingrooves, and The Orchard. And I think The Orchard works with Sony.
Okay. I know I get emails from them
do too.
When new music comes out.
Yeah. I definitely have.
It's probably like a pre-saved something from a Sony artist, if it is Sony, and then you get signed up for emails from The Orchard because of it. I'm assuming that's why I'm getting emails.
I've tried to work with them in the past for some publishing things. I just never panned out because of what I was doing at the time. But, okay. Then, the independent distribution partners are Absolute, Believe Digital, Ditto Plus, Idol, Octave, Record Union, Red Eyed Worldwide, Reverb Nation, Song Trader, STEM, and Symphonic Distribution.
I was like, can I read from here to help you?
Symphonic Distribution. I've worked with Reverb Nation. I have an account on there, and I know I put my songs up there that I want to pitch to other things because I use it as a way to get some gigs. I know things like Summerfest in Wisconsin only pick artists who have Reverb Nation accounts. So that was the main reason I made a profile. And I was using it more of like a Bandcamp type of thing where it was like, where Bandcamp, if you don't know what that is, it's a thing where it basically looks like your Spotify, which you can also link it up to your Spotify artist account. And it has like your bio, some pictures, links to all your stuff. And then on Reverb Nation, you can list all your songs and they can buy it or they can stream it directly on that platform. And then you get fans and like followers. And actually, I will say Reverb Nation, I've gotten a lot of like fans and stuff through it. Okay. But basically, it's a way to like pitch to radio companies and performance gig platforms. It's just like, and they constantly have new things, and then you can pay to get onto playlist, and they'll like do playlist campaigns for you, and it's like $15 per playlist, so it does add up. Yeah, it's definitely expensive, but they'll do like a 2-week push of your songs, and then they'll give you like feedback on like what it did. I've only ever done that once.
Yeah, I used that in Reverb Nation in like high school. I don't know why, but that's when I like did it, and I don't think I've updated mine since. So
I paid for it again because I wanted to apply for a Summerfest in Wisconsin, and I think I actually ended up missing the deadline because I was like using it as another thing for a while too. And it does help you, like you can push your singles. So basically the songs that you have uploaded on there though are the only ones that you can pitch to like radio stations and stuff like that. So that was why I had to put them up. Okay. And you can only go so far with the free version of it, and then it costs you like monthly to do other things with it. And unfortunately it's one of those kinds of platforms where like you kind of have to pay to do anything on it. So I pay the monthly. I think I was like the very low rung of like their monthly subscription. And if you're using it, I mean, it can be a very useful platform to like pitch stuff. But I definitely use it more, like I said, like a Bands in Town or like a Bandcamp kind of thing where like I use it to promote the songs that I already have out. And then whereas like Bands in Town, you promote your shows that you have lined up.
Right.
And one of them, like I said, also connects to your Spotify. So making sure that all that stuff is all good. Connected. You can also promote shows that you have on Reverb Nation as well coming up. So like, especially if you have ticketed events, because like I said, for some reason, I get a pretty good connection on that one on Reverb Nation as far as like generating fans, and like they have a lot of charts for like where you sit worldwide and like within your genre and all that stuff, so like it is kind of cool. I definitely think I've underutilized it, but I also don't know about the rest of them, so and again, I don't use it as a distribution platform. I use it as like a website of sorts. So it depends how you use it. I don't know how great their distribution side of it is, so cannot speak on that. Then you have white label distribution solutions, which are Consolidated Independent, SonoSuite, and FUGA. I don't know what that one is, but it sounds funny.
Okay.
Then your open distribution platforms, and the open distribution platforms are the ones that you're going to hear about most often. It's Boost Collective, CD Baby, DistroKid, Ditto Music, Horse Music, iMusician Digital, Lander, Level Music, Music Gateway, 1RPM, Route Note, Sounddrop, SpinUp, TuneCore, and United Masters. And SpinUp is also a subsidiary of Universal, and TuneCore is a subsidiary of Believe Digital. So back to the majors as well. So I didn't know TuneCore also tied in with a major though, or that Universal had one.
Yeah. Well, Believe Digital isn't a major, but tied in with a company.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's an independent digital platform. You're right. And then the semi-label distribution services are AWAL and Amuse. And I've heard of AWAL before because somebody told us to look into that when we were at a mixer of some sort.
Was that the one that they...
I think so.
I thought
or I definitely get emails about them or something.
I wrote a note somewhere about something.
But anyway, so your majors are the ones that are the big ones. Those are the ones that have some actual negotiation with the DSPs directly. So those are the ones that kind of have like... They can get in on Spotify and tell them, like, this is what we have coming out. That's the only... I mean, there are definitely still good resources to have major labels in play, even though they can be a pain in the butt. No offense to the majors, because I'll still be signed one day, hopefully. But 85% of digital revenues goes through Universal, Sony, or Warner. So they definitely still have a huge share in the market these days. And so it says... 40,000 songs are uploaded onto Spotify daily through platforms such as DistroKid and CD Baby and TuneCore, the open distribute platform. So basically, they're open to all people. So it's essentially like if all of the platforms had open policies, these are those methods to get on. They're the easy ones. You don't have to be in with all of the big companies. They're not like... You're not associated with anything. These are I want to be an independent music artist. Like, what do I do? Or, like, I just want to put out a song for fun. Like, this is your basic ones. DistroKid, TuneCore, and CD Baby are the most heard ones, as we've talked about before. The main difference between them goes basically for... different tiers. I know. Do you work with DistroKid as well?
Yeah, I'm on DistroKid.
The higher the tier goes, the more access you get to things. If you have a free account on there,
I don't think there's a free version.
Or if you have the lowest tier, one. You can't pick like a release date.
Yeah, you basically just have to put it out right away or something like that.
Yeah, or like having different campaigns or things of that nature. You can't really go through. Trying
to find... Oh, I guess I have to hit upgrade and it will tell me things. Yeah, I do Musician Plus, which is the most popular plan. Which is the middle one. So that's the one that you can have a release date in the future and do pre-saves and all that stuff. And trying to kind of compare there's like one of those charts that compares all the plans, and basically that's the one you're gonna want to do at minimum with them, so that way you can have a release date in the future, unless you want to do a surprise drop of a song, but that's not really gonna help you as far as like really promoting stuff and giving it the best chance to succeed. But I know that their ultimate plan has like more stuff that you can get. Like they have a thing where they track RIAA gold and platinum monitoring with their highest plan, and then I know they have like a search engine for playlist contact info that is only with the highest plan, so that might be a reason to look into getting the biggest plan instead of the middle one, just if you want to use it for playlist information.
Yeah. And then the difference between, I'm going to do CD Baby, TuneCore, and DistroKid is DistroKid lets you keep 100% of your royalties, but you pay a higher fee for your different promotional levels that you want to sign up for. CD Baby takes a percentage out of your cuts, but you get to keep them up forever. You pay the like one-time thing, and it doesn't matter if you give up your account, it's still out on everything. With DistroKid, if you want to keep all your songs up for a lifetime, you have to pay an extra like $75, I want to say, per song that you put up or per project that you put up in order to keep it on every platform for your entire life. And it's an add-on that you do when you check out after
like if you
put
don't
up your song.
If you get rid of DistroKid and stop paying the
annual. Yeah, and you can switch distributors, but it's kind of a pain in the ass. It's like with your PRO, you kind of stick with it again unless you like pay. So like if you were to switch from DistroKid to TuneCore or CD Baby, you would want to pay to have all your stuff up for a lifetime so that then you can transfer it over to CD Baby.
Yeah, because you could like...
Because you could lose all.
I know people who will lose streams over that if they're switching. Because I think they're Cheyenne now, but was it the artist named Shy Rose?
Yeah.
Had VCR get over 1 million streams, and then I want to say they switched distribution companies is what happened, and it got taken down, like just lost the 1 million of streams. So
yeah. It's definitely something that you kind of have to watch out for if you want to switch due to better offers. But again, this is where like your research is really going to come in.
It says it right there. It shows like we owe you, and then it has the amount, and then underneath it says minus Tipalti fees. I guess that's probably the service they use to transfer money.
Core's pricing is you have the free artist, which just allows you to unlimited releases to social platforms. Then you have a $15 rising artist one, and they do theirs per year. The essential distribution plan releases unlimited songs to 150 plus digital stores across the globe. And then they have a breakout artist for $30 a year, which releases to unlimited music plus advanced features like customizing your release. So like noting when you want to start doing campaigns and like pre-saves and things like that comes with like the more. And then they have a $50 professional one for labels and industry pros, release unlimited music plus access to premium products and services.
I think that one's the one that allows you to have multiple artists on a song too, because we were trying to figure out for collaboration stuff for a song that
it does. Yeah, you're right. So it says, for example, it's not just solely you as an artist releasing music. For instance, I release music under my name. This is from an article, by the way, from their artist name, but I also release music under a different artist names as well. And then they give some example, which is my chill house music project, some other stuff, which is a pop project, and then a punk project. You can have as many as you want. Alternatively, they don't need to be you either. You can start releasing music for your friends with their professional one.
Yeah. I know DistroKid, you get with the plan that I'm on, it's like 2 artists, and then the top one is like way more artists or whatever. Like there's a certain number of artists that you can have.
Right.
So yeah, it just depends on, and that like counts, I think, collaboration wise. If you're trying to put multiple people as the primary artist, that counts as like an artist too. So if you're going to collaborate with people a lot, you're probably going to want a plan that allows you to have lots of artists.
Yeah. And then CD Baby has a single or an album pricing. So their single pricing is $9.99 or $50 essentially. $49.99. And then their album is the same thing. So their standard single and standard album pricing for the $9.99 releases it to Spotify, Apple Music, and over 150 things. Gives you a free UPC barcode, which is...
That's like the barcode that you would... If it were in a store on a physical CD or vinyl, that's the barcode thing.
Gets you a custom YouTube content ID. So, like, when you see, like, the little... we have, like, YouTube... specific things too that you can integrate into your like music specific ones that integrate with your regular account as well. So it gives you that. Looks like the biggest one is that it doesn't do worldwide publishing royalty collection. So if you pay for the $50 subscription, you get that. And
but your PRO should already be collecting your publishing. So this would be if you were wanting them to handle your publishing, but you have a PRO for that. So you don't need to pay for that through your distribution company necessarily.
And then direct song registration with global royalty collector societies as well. So that's the two things that you don't get. And there's no annual fees on this one. So whereas DistroKid and TuneCore have annual fees that you pay, CD Baby you just upload. So that's one big thing, is that a lot of people will use DistroKid or TuneCore if they're constantly releasing stuff, because it's going to cost a lot less than if you just have like one project out every so often. Yeah. Then you're going to want to do a CD Baby because you get all that stuff, but if you're only putting out like one song a year, then you're only paying $10 to have it out and that's it. Versus if you, or $50 and then that's it. Versus if you were doing DistroKid, again, unless you're paying that $70 up front to keep it on forever, you have to constantly be paying $50 a year to be keeping your music up, to be keeping everything up to date, to be collecting royalties all the time.
I don't think it's 50. What is it?
Well, yeah, I just made up a number, sorry.
Yeah, I personally like the idea of just paying annually versus per release, just so that way it's unlimited as far as like how much you can put out. I mean, you were close. It's, as of right now, it's like $39.99 annually for the middle plan.
Yeah.
And then $90 annually for the top one.
I just didn't think it was worth it because I wasn't doing things that were gonna, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, BMI would let me know if it was
for the certification thing. Yeah.
Silver or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like they would tell you that, so I don't think that's necessary. Or I think Sound Exchange might have stuff with that too. Yeah. The only thing I would upgrade to the top DistroKid for would be either needing more artist profiles or needing wanting to use the playlist contact guide thing that they have.
You know what might be smart for producers out there is to have DistroKid or something like that as like a distribution, and then you say, oh, I'll take care of all your stuff, and you can make money off of that. Just thinking. I just thought of that on the spot, but it might be smart.
Make yourself a little distribution company on top of being a producer. Yeah.
That might be smart. Anywho, that was all. Hopefully that was all concise and synced. There's plenty of research out there. I tried to grab a bunch and like condense it down into one. So
yeah.
You're going to see a lot of comparisons for like those top ones, like I said, like TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid.
Yeah, if you're a visual person, like, research it, and I'm sure there's plenty of places you can find charts that are like comparing and contrasting not only like the plans for each site, but comparing and contrasting each site.
So. And I know DistroKid is getting a lot. It was more enticing to choose something like a CD Baby, I think, at first, because they had a lot more opportunities with like playlisting and like getting connections. But I think DistroKid has really stepped up its game as far as tying in with record labels. You can now pitch your stuff to professional record labels, and now they'll give you like once a day you can like look up certain playlists and get their contact, and they'll give you like an allotted like 5 a day or something of that nature now. And then they have their own playlists. They do like a wheel of playlists, and then you get to like vote, and those don't really do a whole lot, but I think the new feature of getting
playlist contacts,
those contacts are a lot more useful for your time, because you can go through Spotify all day, and trust me, I've done it, and just like try and find it, but like at least this gives you like the direct stuff and links and everything that you need to be successful with it. But I mean, don't knock it. Don't put it past sitting and going through Spotify and looking up things that are going to be relevant to you, looking up keywords that match the vibe that you're looking for with your new singles. And DistroKids also, I think, stepped up with, there are definitely like, comparing all of them, really just, like I said, it's how consistent do you want to be? Do you just want to pay a one-time fee to have it on there forever? Do you want to be consistently paying an annual fee? Do you want to be linked with catching things like gold and silver record platinums, whatever it is, statuses, if that's where you're at in your career? Do you want to be DistroKid now has a thing where you can split royalties if you have your producer on there, again, that just like splits it automatically. If you but I know a lot, especially at the independent level, a lot of producers, and this is something that you want to discuss when you go into recording and getting a contract set out, is do you have full rights to your stuff, or does your producer get a cut after the fact, like stuff like that. Sometimes it's like a trade-off thing, like I said. It's, again, just striking different deals. Like, some producers are like, I would expect a cut if you made it big, like just out of courtesy, but like, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Okay.
Anywho, so this was our little subtopic within the single release stuff, and I'm sure there's other subtopics we can get into for future episodes, but I believe next week we'll do our part 2 of the like overarching single release guide, so look out for that. We'll do more like social media stuff and a couple other topics with that one, so that will be a fun one to discuss, because it's more of the creativity type of promotion stuff with single release. But yeah, if you have any thoughts or comments or stories you want to send us, you could send them to themusiclenspodcast@gmail.com, and you can keep up with us on socials at the Music Lens Podcast, and then you can keep up with Alex at Alex Lager Music and myself at Katie Fee Music. Okay.
We'll see y'all next week.
We'll see you next week. Bye.